Today we learned what most of us already guessed. Guardians of the Galaxy Vol.2 is friggin' perfect. I'm Sasha Perl-Raver, and this is Screen Junkies News. All right, Marvel fans, according to The Hollywood Reporter, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 has received a perfect score, a 100 from Marvel's internal testing system. With me to break this down is editor-in-chief of Screen Junkies News, Roth Cornett.
That sounds so serious.
Right? It's 100.
100.
It's 100.
It's a perfect score.
It's a perfect score. I mean, the Russian judge always knocks it down.
Yeah, you would think. You would think, at the very least.
So what does this mean, Roth?
You know, it's funny because we were talking before we started shooting that we want to explain a little bit about what the system means. So most test screenings are done by audience members, right? So regular folk go in and see the film and they give their impressions. Marvel, who plays their cards very close to the vest and doesn't want any of the secrets getting out, understandably so, does friends and family screening. Now, they do this, ostensibly speaking, so that they can guard the secrets of the film. But it also means that people that are already very friendly to Marvel are the ones that are giving their feedback on the films in the first place.
Of course. Like, I mean, literally, you can walk around Los Angeles and there will be people who will come up to you with flyers and ask you to go see a movie. So it's people from the grocery store. It's people
Have you ever done it?
Oh, totally. I remember the first one was the Colonel's Daughter. It was this garbage John Travolta movie, but it was before I was involved in the industry. I have not done it since I've been involved in the industry because that's not fair, but I do give feedback on friends' films.
Yes.
And I can say I am never as honest as I would be if it were a John Travolta movie.
Sure, because first of all, you're rooting for them.
Absolutely.
So you're going in hoping that it's good. Now, we're always going into every movie hoping that it's good, but maybe not as much as I would be hoping that Sasha's movie was good.
And you're never going to say, like, Sasha, just so you know, that was garbage. You're going to say, here's what you could have worked on.
Maybe you could tweak.
Yeah, but even in that, 100
It's still a very high score.
100. There are other examples like Iron Man 3 testing in the 90s, Avengers testing in the 90s. The only film that seems to have been given an honest score was Thor: The Dark World, which tested in the 30s.
Yeah.
And then they went on to totally revamp it, redo it before anybody saw it again. So
yeah, reportedly, I mean, they basically just took it back entirely from the director at that point after that score came in. So in any of it, which is not surprising, Alan Taylor, they just took the film away from him. Completely reworked it. So I would be really curious to see what that cut was like.
Yeah, but what does 100 mean?
So I feel like, look, you mentioned Iron Man 3, which ultimately got 79% score on Rotten Tomatoes from both the audience and critics. So obviously the critics and the audience didn't love it quite as much as the Marvel friends and family did. But it also went on to make as much money almost as the Avengers. I think it's $1.2 billion, which is a lot of money. So clearly there is some correlation here between perhaps predicting success. So Avengers, which had the other highest score, went on to make over 1.2, I think 1.3, $1.4 billion.
1.5.
1.5. Great. So thank you, Charlie Feldman, who is over there in the corner.
Go and give that.
The point with that is that I do wonder if it is predictive to some degree. I will say this. I am irrationally in love with Guardians of the Galaxy. And I've talked about this before. I have seen that first film 7 different times. I don't normally see films over and over again.
Why is that irrational? That movie is awesome.
It's so awesome. I love it so much.
Yeah, I don't see why that's irrational. I think that makes perfect sense.
You do?
Yeah, why are you couching this in like self-hatred? Guardians of the Galaxy is an awesome movie.
I think this is going to be a really good start to our therapy session later, because I feel like maybe it's indicative of a whole other host of things that we should probably discuss. But I don't think it's so much self-hatred. It's just more, I'm amazed by my own response and so, to some degree because, we're really busy and we're constantly watching new things. Most people don't repeat watch, right? But this is one of the only movies I have watched repeatedly in the last 5 years. And so to me, it captured something about the essence of me as a little girl that loved Flash Gordon and space.
Yes.
And so I'm highly anticipating this film. And this really does actually make me more excited because I was worried it couldn't live up to the magic of that first one.
Do you think that getting 100 is a big deal? Or do you think that part of that is people are going in with goodwill? I think James Gunn is incredible.
He's amazing.
And I think that whatever he's doing will be fantastic. And the promo that we saw during the Super Bowl, I, like you, was concerned you can't possibly match or top what you did before.
Yeah.
That promo was great.
Right. And here's the thing. You haven't even seen, I don't know if you were at Comic-Con, but they had so much good stuff that they showed from this movie at Comic-Con. And let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen, there is no way on earth that the only human being that could have been Star-Lord's dad that was charming enough to be Chris Pratt's father, Kurt Russell, is going to walk away with anything less than 100% movie. 100% movie, 100% Russell. It wasn't going any other way. I will say this though too.
I just like 100% movie. Yeah, 100% movie. That's your battle cry. I love it. Yes. What do you have to say?
Is that Disney, other than in rare cases like John Carter from Mars, is really good at marketing, and they announced the sequel to Guardians before Guardians 1 opened. And that was a push, an emphasis on the goodwill that this film had behind it. It was their stamp of approval, I think, to increase butts and seats that opening weekend. And I feel like they're preparing us now for a big marketing push that's going to try and match financially the Avengers and Iron Man. And that's what I'm wondering. Can Guardians match Avengers in money? And then what does that mean if it does?
Well, here's what I think. That's a very interesting question, because Guardians of the Galaxy was such an unknown quantity. People kind of knew what Iron Man was. People certainly after that came out knew about Thor, knew about Hulk, knew what they were getting with Iron Man 2 and 3, knew what they were getting with the Avengers. No one knew with Guardians.
Yeah.
Now we know. I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think this has the possibility certainly to surpass the first and possibly to join. I don't know if it can do a 1.5, but it could do a 1.3.
I mean, I'm curious, and I think that it can too. I mean, I think that you can tell how I feel about Kurt Russell, so it's hard for me to imagine that he doesn't earn.
Kurt Russell is 100% Kurt Russell. Yeah. So that makes sense.
When and you know this, when I talked to Vin Diesel about Triple X, he mentioned the idea that James Gunn wanted a Rocket and Groot movie. And here's my question for us. If Guardians is as potentially successful as we think it may be, what does that mean as the cosmic universe of Marvel expands and expands and expands? How does it maintain its own identity and grow that as they merge with the Avengers and as more and more characters come in, dimensions and universes? Is it that we focus on each of the Guardians individually? Do we do the reverse Avengers? Do we have a group and then go back out and focus on them individually, starting with a Rocket and Groot movie? Pitching it now, Marvel.
Love it. Hope it is not what it is, where everything has to become a confluence, where we can have a Guardians world and we can have an Avengers world, and they do not have to be the same thing.
Well, they are going to be together in Infinity War. You don't like it?
I don't need it.
Oh, okay.
I don't need it. It's not that I don't like it. It's that I don't need it. I feel like the Infinity War is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
But I prefer when there is more of like I think that the Captain America franchise is so strong. The Guardians franchise is so strong. And those are the ones that they really have to focus on. I mean, Black Panther, I think, is going to be awesome. But I like when universes can be their own thing.
Yeah.
But if they were to spin off, so a Groot and Rocket movie.
Yes, please.
But is that the only one you want to see?
No, I think that there's infinite possibilities for all of these characters, really, right? Like there's so much to explore with Drax and his species.
Because that's what I want.
That's what you want, Drax.
That's what I need. I mean, come on. I'm giving it to you, though. What are you writing down? She needs another franchise? I mean, we know how many, lady franchises we get out of the Marvel Universe.
Well... Yeah. I don't know. I mean, to be honest, I genuinely think, and I think that James Gunn, I trust this franchise in his hands. I think Rocket and Groot is a great place to start.
Totally.
I think it's an awesome place to start. Those are the standout characters. We all love them. Drax would be interesting. I mean,
so interesting.
Star-Lord's going to be in all of the other films. That is probably going to be their premier character that transfers.
Yeah.
But I will say this about Infinity War, addressing your potential concerns about that. Matt Key did a video the other day, and we talked about it before. Potentially, and we don't know this for sure, but potentially Infinity War is maybe told from the perspective
of the Guardians,
of the villain, of Thanos. And so like if we're seeing him, there's a storyline that we'll talk about later because it's amazing. It's him and Death and how he's in love with Death and wants to ruin things, but Death is actually a lady that he loves. It's awesome. Think All That Jazz meets Marvel.
You and All That Jazz. All That Jazz. What if Kurt Russell was in All That Jazz?
I would die. I would literally die.
Okay. I mean, I'm seeing the pitch meeting of Roth going in and just handling this business. So I guess my final question to you is, did this make you more excited for the movie? Knowing that it got 100%, whether or not we actually trust this judging system, does a 100% score make you more excited?
100% more. 100% movie, 100% Russell, 100% all the time. But like I said, I was already 100% all in.
So now she's 1,000%. Well, we want to know, did this make you even more excited for Guardians 2? Was that even possible? Let us know in the comments below. You can always click here for more internets. Make sure to like, subscribe, and we'll see you again on SJ News.